What's going on there, folks? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to a few out there. It is the Earthmaster here on this end of the microphone. Wednesday, April 12th, 2023. It's 12:12 p.m. out here along the west coast in the state of California. 2.5, latest earthquake here into the New Guinea area, as listed here in the green flag. Seen a little bit of activity ramping up there today. Also down into the Australia area, seeing a 3.0. Let's go ahead and check out the latest activity here across the world flat scale model Earth view here. Of course, Northern California yesterday seeing a 4.4 in an area that, well, there's quite a bit of earthquake activity here near the Clear Lake volcanic field and specifically around the Cobb Mountain area. This sits just south of the Clear Lake area. Mount Konocti volcano up here, but overall Clear Lake volcanic field extends down into this area. There is a process involved here with a bunch of hydrothermal operation plants here that take advantage of the heated surface below by injecting raw sewage to create energy. It's a whole crazy process. Check it out on the internet if you want, or any search browser. Calpine hydrothermal operations, and there's a whole bunch of these plants out here, and there's specifically, well, if you want to know the details of it all, you have to go check it out yourself. I just had lunch, so I really don't want to go into the details once again, but there's numerous hydrothermal plants out here, and last night we seen a 4.4 earthquake, one of the larger ones we've seen in a little while. Most of the time it's only some smaller quakes, but on occasion it seems as though they rattle some nerves out here with the surface areas and the pressure below. This 4.4 coming in yesterday at about 10:30 or so, and since then, by the way, that was 2.5 kilometers deep, relatively shallow. But following that 4.4, it triggered a massive swarm of earthquakes higher than normal. And if we're looking at the last 24 hours of data here, we got 187 earthquakes in this area of the Cobb Mountain region. So it's quite the uptick, quite the swarm going on. That 4.4 occurring very close to a couple different operations out here. Here's one of the hydrothermal plants. And some of these other regions here, I'm not for sure the exact process of where they may inject the material, but it's all over the place. Obviously, it's within their facility. This whole area is gated off and secured with guards, so it's pretty crazy. I was down there last year looking at that activity, but goodness, yeah, we definitely got a pretty good swarm of activity kicking up there today. Also, it seems as though we may have picked up some movement up north as well. Into the Lake Pillsbury area. This is a little coastal range fault here called the Bartlett Springs Fault. Kind of extends up here as well. This whole connection, or this whole section here connects, but not shown so on the map. The rest of Northern California, Oregon, and Washington look fairly quiet for the most part. A little bit of movement down into the, well, creeping section of the San Andreas Fault Zone, with a little earthquake, a 2.1 near the Aromas area. And looks like a little cluster of activity here as well. I believe that's from yesterday. Yeah, most of it is. We did have another 2.1 early this morning in that region. Looking further down south into the state here, looks like one earthquake on the San Jacinto Fault Zone near the Ocotillo Wells area. Very small, 1.1. The San Andreas Fault, very quiet for now. And looks like a little movement on the Brawley seismic zone here, just outside, or just within the Salton Sea area. 1.5 at 5.2 kilometers deep. The rest of the western portion here of the North American plate shows a little activity across the Utah region, stretching up into Yellowstone. I'm not really seeing anything spectacular showing up here across the Yellowstone overviews. These are all thumbnails, so to speak, of seismograph stations there in Wyoming. The Long Valley, or the Yellowstone supervolcano caldera, is in this black line here, kind of outlined with Lake Yellowstone over here in the blue. Not a whole lot of earthquake activity there today, folks. Oklahoma, Texas, New Madrid seismic zone out here. All a little spotty activity throughout the day today. Nothing spectacular going on. The Caribbean plate down here around the Puerto Rico area. Looks like a couple earthquakes here within the last hour or so. Some up around the Puerto Rico Trench. And let's see what we got here for the Middle America Trench over here. We got a couple 4s kicking up here. 4.0 and a 4.2 coming in fairly recent. USGS, for whatever reason, tends to skip this area. But it's a pretty important plate boundary. It's a subduction zone that sits off the coast here of Mexico down to about the Costa Rica area. So there's some 4s taking place here on this plate boundary. Down into the South America region, most of these here from yesterday. Looks like the latest one, a 4.1 near the Chile-Bolivia border, 116 kilometers deep into the Peru-Chile Trench. And looking at the EMSC model here, looks like there is a newer earthquake, 4.0, a little bit further upstream here near Peru at 45 kilometers deep. So a little bit of uptick taking place here, Middle America Trench southward into the north section of the South America plate there. All right, what do we got here? Fiji, super deep earthquake much further to the west here. 5.0 coming in about 7 in the morning, 500 kilometers deep here into the, well, take your pick, one of the two, Tonga Trench or the Kermadec Trench. It looks like it's more on the Tonga Trench area. Either way, well below the South Fiji Basin area, this movement very common here. Very deep movement quakes in this area. We'll watch for some further upstream activity considering the deeper activity we've seen here recently. Nothing going on here across New Zealand, according to the USGS. It looks like there was a, I believe that 3-pointer is from yesterday. Let me check the GeoNet servers here real quick. Stand by while I pull them up. 3.2, that was just outside of Wellington. That was from yesterday. All magnitudes here. Couple 1s, some 2s. There's a 3-pointer about an hour or so ago. That could be the one that is listed up on the globe. Other than that, looks like mostly smaller microquakes across the area today. We did see a little bit of movement there in Australia, 3.0. We don't see too much activity up there, do we? Okay, that was a little weird why that happened. Just out of the blue. Okay, yeah, 3.0 near the coast of South Australia. Looks like 2 kilometers deep. Looks like we have seen something down there. Another quake within the last 7 days or so, but not super active. We don't see too much activity down there. Either way, a little bit of movement taking place there in Australia. Down here, or up around the Philippines region. Now, I know we are still seeing some earthquake activity, including a 2.5. Most of the movement, some 4s and 3s here across the area. Papua New Guinea region did see a 4.5. Fairly recent here, the red flag. Not showing up here on the USGS map. I don't know what's going on today. They're a little on the slow side with the reporting. But there's definitely a little bit of activity here, I would say, kicking up across the region. One oddball earthquake, a 5.1 back prior to the Java Trench. This is kicking off here in the 90 East Ridge. Is that right? I had my head's actually sideways there. Trying to read this. 90 East Ridge. Never actually heard of this area. But, yeah, there's a little earthquake out there. 5.1, fairly shallow at the defaulted depth of 10 kilometers. Historical data does show us that, there we go. Looks like there is earthquake activity that happens out here on occasion. Not much compared to the obvious plate boundaries here to the northeast. But, yeah, looks like occasionally we do get some earthquakes out there. Intraplate earthquakes are kind of what they're called. Further up north, Andaman Sea area, looks like that's tapering off today. We have been watching a little swarm of earthquake activity out here in the Andaman Sea that has since died off and dropped off completely there. A little bit of movement across the northern India area, it looks like, with a 4.0 from yesterday, and some movement up around Afghanistan today as well. The Middle East area and the Mediterranean looks fairly quiet. Some twos kicking off here, but this is very typical for this area. Got a 2.2 way up north. Let's see where this is at. The Netherlands area. Seeing a little shaking going on. Nothing big, just a little 2.0. 2.2, excuse me. The Atlantic Ocean, calm, clear, quiet. Maybe not necessarily calm if you're out there on the seas, but as far as earthquake activity goes, not a whole lot going on throughout this area of the world. All right, so let's see what else we have. The Kuril-Kamchatka Trench, that's that 4.2 there from yesterday. Still waiting on some movement up here, folks. It's our quiet zone for now, but this area does see quite a bit of stress here as far as the average given accumulated slip rates here across the area. Some regions around the Western Pacific here get upwards of 100 mm per year. That's fairly high in terms of subduction rates across the trenches, and general plate stress out here is fairly high. But it's awfully quiet right now, so something brewing, something in the mix out here for sure. Alaska, fairly quiet today. Not a whole lot going on. Looks like mostly twos there listed on the Earthquake 3D globe. Looking at the flat scale model Earth here, looks about the same. 2.5 map and above does not show too much elevated activity. Looks like the last one here was a 2.8 here into the Cook, well, south of the Cook Inlet area in this strait. Not for sure how to pronounce that. I'm not going to even try to slaughter it today. All right, what else do we have here? Oh, and by the way, look at this activity here in the Cobb Mountain area. Of course, we had that 4.4, right? It did kick off some stronger aftershocks, so to speak, here. Mostly upper twos, even a 3.1. Notice the depth there of these earthquakes, much shallower. This is almost getting at the surface levels. It's kind of a little concerning here if there's, you know, this many earthquakes, and this is fairly elevated. Earthquake activity does happen here due to their process, but I can't help but wonder, you know, if they're creating a general weak area out here in the crust where, you know, this could be a new volcano out here, creating a new volcano maybe. I don't know. It just seems really weird with all the shallower movement taking place, and it's just, I don't know. That's just a lot of earthquake activity over a small region. We know it's geologically active below, far as volcanic heated material below. Clear Lake volcanic field. But poking holes down there, kind of poking with the monster there is not, I don't know. I wouldn't do that. But then again, I don't work for those guys, and apparently I'm sure they've done some studies, right? Hopefully they've done studies on to hopefully not create a natural disaster there. Man-made one. Let's see, what else is there? I think that's about it, folks, for the earthquake activity. Nothing major going on. Let's see the Izu Trench. This is all from yesterday. Nothing going on across the Mariana Trench as well. All right, let's see what we have here for the space weather from solarham.site. Kind of getting a little uptick here, a little bit of elevated solar weather activity. As we're looking at the visible disk here, this is the magnetic structure of the sunspots. This is not color, this is not true color, but just gives us a general indicator of where the polarities are in each of these sunspots here. And the main one that's kind of squarely lined up facing the Earth is still looking fairly complex and may pose a threat here for a strong M flare. Also, southeastern limb here. Looks like there's even a newer sunspot trailing this main region. So that's what I'm saying. Looks like it's gonna get pretty active. Just got a 2.3 coming into my phone. Central California. Let me see what's going on here real quick. 2.3. Going to be this earthquake near Porterville. Just coming in. 8.6 kilometers deep. All right, let me go back here to the space weather. So, yeah, definitely going to be watching a couple of these sunspots, as this one's definitely directly Earth-facing. And the rest of these up here look fairly stable. This one here looks a little bit complex, but I think our main areas to watch here in the coming days is going to be this massive region here and the secondary large region that's turning into a better view. Let's see. Overall threat, 95% chance for a C flare. M flare at 45, and a slight elevated risk of an X flare from mostly that sunspot that is currently facing the Earth, which has the well, the most complex structure, 3272 beta gamma class. Rest of these other ones look. Let's see here. This one's 3276 beta. I think it's got a little bit more complex structure, at least according to this latest imagery down here, but. Either way, it's massive, and we'll watch this pretty closely as they rotate into view. The UV filter ray here shows some awesome magnetic lines here. We'll watch this pretty closely. This could spark off a big one, and it's definitely Earth-directed. Let's see, nothing going on across the auroras for now. Well, hopefully that will change with maybe a pretty good CME. Who knows? There is no major coronal holes facing us. The coronal hole map here looks fairly calm. A couple smaller ones directed away from the Earth here. So our only hope right now of getting some interesting solar weather activity is going to be a perfectly lined up sunspot that will produce a massive CME. We'll watch that pretty closely. Storm Prediction Center here. Not a whole lot going on as far as severe weather over the next day or so. It looks like we do have a moderate, well, slight risk of severe weather. It looks as though on the let's see. Is this Friday into Saturday? Looks like Friday into Saturday. And then day 4. This is going to be, let's see, let's back out of here. That's day 3. See what day 4 looks like here. Day 4 could be, day 4 is going to be Saturday into Sunday. That 15% chance of severe weather has shifted well east. Last night for Friday, this was centered more around Oklahoma and Texas area. So it kind of looks like that shifted well east there. So far as the potential for severe weather, it only looks like it's slight now across the southern Kansas. Well, it extends well up into Kansas, actually. Good portion of Oklahoma and northern Texas as well, with some fairly populated regions. We're talking about 10, almost 11 million people involved in the slight risk category out here. But I think the main threat with this type of setup is going to be some large hail pulling in a lot of the moisture up here. There's going to be a dry line that's going to be developing across portions of western Texas, or western Oklahoma, excuse me, and extending there across portions of Texas as well. We'll cover that a little bit later on. It's still a couple days out. Today looks fairly minimal. Tomorrow, about the same. But we'll look at that on Friday and see how that plays out. Alrighty, guys. I am going to go continue working on the garden here. I think I'm actually going to do one more rototiller of it, and then probably do some planting. Got some cooler weather coming up here. But it should be okay. As far as any frost or freeze, I think we are done with that here along the Northern California area for now. I mean, it's the middle of April. We definitely need some warmer temperatures. So, alrighty, have a good day, folks. Welcome to the new members out here. Looks like we gained a few members over the last 24 hours or so. Welcome to those folks. They are automatically entered into our monthly drawing giveaway here. We do that, if we can, every 15th day of the month. So we got another one coming up here in a couple days. We'll be giving away some prizes here. Going to stick with the same prizes that we've been doing for the most part. Haven't had any complaints. $50 Visa, MasterCard, or whatever you choose there. Can be sent to you, or the second option could be a Earthmaster t-shirt from our Earthmaster store. Pretty cool. Or if you like some geology mining stuff, we have a 7-piece mining kit that we could give away to you as well. So it's completely up to you. We give those 3 options, and we'll probably switch it up here in a little bit. But for now, we're just going to continue with those options. haven't had any complaints. So make sure you are a member here on this channel. Those members also do get some extra emojis, icons, extra perks, including, well, extra videos, you know, a lot of unrelated earthquake stuff. And most of the time when we are on location covering an event, we'll give that, that heads up there to the members first. We'll normally put out a on-location video to the members first, and then, of course, we'll announce it to the rest of the channel subscribers a day or so later. But there's always, you know, those extra perks to look forward to by being a member here on this channel, and it's relatively cheap. The monthly fee for the lowest one, what is it, $3.99 or $2.99? I can't remember what it is. YouTube sets the defaulted payment, and then we have a couple other options there for members if they want to help support the channel, and those cost a little bit more each month. But they're still entitled, those people that choose to be a sponsor or a channel supporter, obviously get all the perks prior, you know, to what their other levels were, including all the extra videos and whatnot. But it's more of an option of those that want to help support us there by paying that, you know, a little bit extra per month. And we definitely do appreciate all the super thanks and the donations and whatnot. It does help us in regards to going out on location. Just like our Oregon trip here recently, just did a little bit of tsunami investigating, seeing if things are appropriately set up there for correct tsunami evacuation routes there around the Gold Beach area of Oregon. And to be honest, I'm not going to go into it again, but I didn't really see enough. It definitely needs to be more as far as correct signage, visible signage and whatnot. Tsunami evacuation routes need to be visible, and they need to be numerous, because a lot of people are going to be in a panic up there when the big one hits and that 9-pointer you know, sends a 40-foot wall of water or potentially higher into the coast range there of Oregon. So can't stress enough the importance of signage, and you know, we're hoping to get that done. So again, every donation and whatnot goes right back into the channel. We try to strive for the best quality we can. I don't like uploading in low quality. You know, if we're going to upload a video, upload in 4K if you can. Definitely if you can. It provides the most, you know, the best viewership, I think. That's why we're always trying to stream in 4K. And I think we do pretty good out here. A lot of people still don't have that option to view videos in 4K, but hey, it's definitely coming along. You know, and it's all dependent on the internet speed that that you're on. It plays a big picture, plays a big part in the big picture. All right, guys, I'm going to bounce off here. Have a good day. We'll catch you guys back here a little bit later on tonight, and I might share a video or two here with the members about the gardening stuff that we're doing here. Take care, folks. We'll catch you guys a little bit later. Have a good day.